This is Mac OS Ken.
Positive notes from the financial front, a quiet shift on OS availability, and two tales from TV land. It is Friday, the 14th of January, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by BetterHelp, online counseling that's there for you. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home. How far into January is it cool to say Happy New Year? Well, SimpliSafe is still saying it with their New Year's holiday deals. Right now, Mac OS Ken listeners can get 20% off SimpliSafe award-winning home security and your first month free when you sign up for their interactive monitoring service. I think SimpliSafe is great because it has everything you need to make your home safe. Indoor and outdoor cameras, comprehensive sensors, all monitored around the clock by trained professionals who send help the instant you need it. I think SimpliSafe is great because installation is a breeze. Getting my sensors, base station, and keypad up and running took me under an hour. And I think SimpliSafe is great because U.S. News and World Report thinks it's great. They named SimpliSafe the best home security system of 2021. One more great thing. Getting all of that for less. Hurry. Take 20% off your SimpliSafe system, and your first month is free when you sign up for the interactive monitoring service. Visit simplysafe.com/macOSKen. SIMPLI. Again, that's simplysafe.com/macOSKen for 20% off your entire system. Lots of moving parts when considering Apple's upcoming earnings report. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note from JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee on Thursday, considering a few factors. First, he expects Apple to beat the street's expectations for the recently ended holiday quarter, though it will be a modest beat in his estimation. Working in the quarter's favor, an iPhone 13 cycle that's tracking better than investor expectations. Keeping the beat modest, headwinds warned against on Apple's last earnings call. While Apple did not offer guidance for the quarter on the call, it did say that supply constraints that cost Apple about $6 billion in the September quarter would be larger in the December quarter. What Chapman is really excited about, though, is the current quarter. Headed into the holidays, a lot of analysts said that they weren't worried about any missed iPhone sales due to supply constraints, since people who couldn't get them in the December quarter would go ahead and pick them up in the March quarter. He expects playing catch-up to work for Apple this quarter and for the rest of fiscal year 2022. Mr. Chatterjee has an overweight rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $210. iPhone is crushing it in China right now. So says a new note from Counterpoint Research. The market tracker issued a release on Thursday saying that Apple's communicator was the top phone in China for the 6th week running. With the release of iPhone 13, the piece says Apple has taken the top spot in sales in China and has maintained the number one position, excluding the brief period during Singles' Day. According to Counterpoint, the base model iPhone 13 is leading sales, followed by iPhone 13 Pro Max, then iPhone 13 Pro. The report indicates the 13 line isn't just outselling other phones, it's outselling previous iPhones as well. The firm says initial sales of iPhone 13 series in China exceeds sales of its predecessors, and where it falls down, iPhone 12 is picking up the slack. Counterpoint says the relatively lower starting price of iPhone 13 at its release in China helped boost sales, as well as the new camera and 5G features. The firm goes on to say that Lucky 13's success is also followed by the strong performance of the iPhone 12, contributing to an increase in Apple's overall sales. Counterpoint Research Director Tom Kang is quoted in the release saying Apple's only true competitor in China till now was Huawei, and it is now facing serious production issues due to U.S. sanctions. Apple is likely to continue its high performance in China until other competitors catch up in both brand and quality. Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani has raised his price target on Apple shares and invited investors to play What If? Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on Thursday, reiterating a call made by Morgan Stanley analyst Katie Huberty late last year. She argued then that it was time for investors to factor in augmented reality, virtual reality, and Apple Car when considering the company's future prospects. Now, Ad Rock is speaking similarly, at least where AR and VR are concerned. Quoting his note, "We think investors continue to underappreciate Apple's potential to innovate and enter new markets where they can leverage and scale Apple's unique platform and vertical integration capabilities. AR and VR have become a hot topic post Facebook's pivot to the metaverse, but Apple has been working on AR and VR solutions for the last 4+ years, and we expect the hype into a formal launch in late 2022 to serve as a catalyst to the stock price. It'll help extend iOS in the analyst's estimation, and importantly, he says, it'll extend the App Store from iPhone to the VR world." On the conservative side, if Apple's anticipated mixed reality headset only does as well as Apple Watch, it could contribute $18.1 billion to sales in Daryanani's estimation. Taking a bullish view, if it's as big a success as AirPods, the headset could add $38 billion in sales. Worth noting, that is only some of what Evercore is expecting this year. In addition to the headgear, Daryanani also expects a third iPhone SE this quarter, iPhone 14 later this year, and who knows what else. With that, he reiterated his outperform rating on Apple shares. He also raised his price target on the shares from $180 to $210, as he sees wearables becoming an important growth vector. A strange bit of turnabout for iOS. A piece from Apple Insider says uptick for iOS 15 is lagging behind its predecessors, while a piece from Mac Rumors says Apple looks to be shoving things along. First, let's hit 15 standing. According to Apple Insider, iOS 15 is currently installed on 72% of iPhones made in the last 4 years. Not bad, though it is behind the last 2 operating systems. At the same time, during its release, iOS 13 was on 77% of compatible iPhones made in the prior 4 years, while last year's iOS 14 was on 81%. What has changed? The way Apple Insider sees it, it's likely that the reduced adoption rates are because of a change in Apple's update stance. The company is no longer forcing users to install the latest operating system version to gain important security updates. Well, it wasn't requiring that, though it seems now it may be. That Mac Rumors piece mentioned earlier says Apple is more aggressively pushing iOS 14 users to upgrade to iOS 15. This it seems to be doing by removing the option to upgrade security features without updating the whole OS. When iOS 15 launched, says the report, Apple said that iOS offered a choice between 2 software update versions, pledging to offer security updates for those who opted to stick with iOS 14. Yeah, it looks like they might be done with that. Last fall, one could choose to move to iOS 15 or just download the security components for iOS 14. Now, Mac Rumors says that option appears to have been eliminated with the launch of iOS 15.2. The report says Apple did not reintroduce the Remain on iOS 14 option in the iOS 15.2.1 update that came out this week, which seems to be a clear sign that Apple is now expecting people to upgrade. iPhone users who want to have the latest security protections must now update to iOS 15, so says Mac Rumors. It is worth noting this week started with folks jumping to conclusions around Private Relay. Makes me loath to say this is a thing that Apple has done. It does seem to be a thing that's happening right now, though. One hopes the company will offer clarification at some point. Copying and accusations of copying in the App Store. Starting with the copying, have you played Wordle? Wordle is a daily online word game. Kind of like Mastermind, if you remember that. You get 6 chances to figure out the 5-letter word of the day. CNET says hundreds of thousands of people are playing. No logins, no subscriptions, no ads. No wonder copycats copied it. How do you know which one's fake? Well, if it's in the App Store, it's fake. Wordle happens in the browser and doesn't cost anything. Meanwhile, CNET says the Wordle wannabes range in price, with some costing $1 or $2, while one version had an annual subscription of $30. The piece says Apple has been killing the clones, but more keep coming. Search the App Store for Wordle and you'll find several games that steal the gameplay or steal the gameplay and the name. My favorite one is Wordle Word Puzzle, a free word game with a twist. It costs $1.99, which you have to admit is a twist for a free word game. As for the copycat accusation, Cult of Mac says PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG publishers, Krafton and PUBG Santa Monica, are suing Apple and Google over Free Fire, a battle royale game developed by Garena Online. According to the PUBG peeps, Free Fire uses several copyrighted aspects of PUBG, including its game structure, in-game items, equipment, and locations. They have asked Apple and Google to pull the alleged knockoff from their respective stores, though both companies have declined. And so, the piece says, Krafton and PUBG Santa Monica are now suing Apple and Google in a bid to force their hands. Their lawsuit also calls for damages and for Free Fire gameplay videos and live-action dramatization based on the game to be removed from YouTube. More news in a moment, but first a word from BetterHelp, online counseling that's there for you. If there's something keeping you from achieving your goals, something interfering with your happiness, there is something you can do about it. Talk to your own licensed professional therapist through BetterHelp, sponsor of today's show. Back in the 90s, I felt like I needed somebody to talk to. Finding a counselor was scary, it was difficult, and we didn't mesh. That put me off the whole counseling thing for a very long time. BetterHelp makes all of that better. Answer a few questions and BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. It all happens online, so your counselor is on your tablet, on your computer, on your phone, wherever you need them. I mostly work with my BetterHelp counselor via text and the occasional phone call. You and your therapist connect in a safe and private online environment as well, whichever way works best and makes you most comfortable. You get the same protections as you would heading to somebody's office. You get the same confidentiality, and you get help. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting today's sponsor at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. That's HELP, betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that is BetterHelp, HELP, betterhelp.com/macOSKen. And thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's show. 8 years in the making, it looks like Apple is finally ready to pay employees for time lost standing around. All the way back to 2013, employees of Apple Retail in California sued Apple for its bag check policy. Basically, if you brought a bag to work, management or security or somebody had to check that bag before employees left for the day. Makes sense. You wouldn't want any hardware strolling off. The problem, the way the employees saw it, was they had to clock out before their bags were checked. Few people to check bags versus a large number of bags to check meant a lot of people standing around for a decent amount of time at the end of each shift. That's time that was required of them, though for which they were not paid. Probably prompted by that lawsuit, a piece from Mac Rumors says Apple dropped the bag check policy 6 years ago. Still, the suit raged on until 2020, when the piece says the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said that Apple needed to pay the employees for the time they had spent in bag searches. Last year, Mac Rumors says Apple and lawyers for the Apple employees in California reached a settlement and in November asked a judge to approve it. Apple has agreed to pay nearly $30 million, and the more than 14,000 workers involved in the lawsuit will receive payments based on the individual shifts worked. Current and former employees will be receiving emails and letters from Apple with specific information about their potential payment amount. Details about the settlement can be found on Apple's site. Man, Apple is really getting into this whole Abe Lincoln thing, huh? Last week, we heard that Apple had ordered a limited series about the hunt for Lincoln assassin John Wilkes Booth. Now the Cupertino company has announced the documentary series Lincoln's Dilemma, based on the book Abe, Abraham Lincoln in His Times by historian David S. Reynolds. A press release on the production says the docu-series is a 21st century examination of a complicated man and the people and events that shaped his evolving stance on slavery. The release goes on to say the series features insights from a diverse range of journalists, educators, and Lincoln scholars, as well as rare archival materials that offer a more nuanced look into the man dubbed the Great Emancipator. Set against the background of the Civil War, Lincoln's Dilemma also gives voice to the narratives of enslaved people, shaping a more complete view of an America divided over issues including economy, race, and humanity, and underscoring Lincoln's battle to save the country, no matter the cost. Bill Camp will give voice to Abraham Lincoln. Leslie Odom Jr. will do the same for Frederick Douglass. Jeffrey Wright will serve as narrator. All 4 episodes of Lincoln's Dilemma hit Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 18th of February, just ahead of President's Day. And finally today, more award nominations for Apple TV Plus, because it's a day that ends in Y. Midweek, we heard word of the 13 Screen Actors Guild Award nominations for Apple's TV and movie offerings. Now a piece from iMore says titles from Apple's streaming service have picked up 5 nominations for this year's Writers Guild Awards. According to the report, The Morning Show is up for Best Drama Series, Ted Lasso is up for Best Comedy Series, The Problem with Jon Stewart has been nominated for Best Comedy Variety Talk Series. A single episode of The Morning Show titled La Amerivita has been nominated, as has a single episode of Helpsters. The 74th Writers Guild Awards will be held on Sunday, the 20th of March. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get 20% off your system at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by BetterHelp, online counseling that's there for you. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.